Welcome to Streaming News Network, where we deliver balanced reporting with the facts that matter. The Evening Edition by Claude McDaniel. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. President Donald Trump has released newly declassified intelligence that he says reveals significant security vulnerabilities in electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems used across the United States. Speaking at the White House, Trump said Americans had been misled for years about the security of election infrastructure, claiming many voting systems remain vulnerable to cyber attacks and other forms of compromise. The renewed focus on election security has also drawn attention to similar concerns raised by prominent Democrats in previous years. In 2017, Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon questioned major voting machine manufacturers about their cybersecurity practices, including independent security audits and protections against hacking, following concerns about foreign attempts to target election infrastructure. 2 years later, Senators Elizabeth Warren, Ron Wyden, Amy Klobuchar, and Representative Mark Pocan warned that outdated technology, limited innovation, and cost-cutting measures had left some voting systems vulnerable to security problems. They also called for stronger safeguards, including reliable paper records for audits and recounts. Earlier still, in 2005, former President Jimmy Carter co-chaired a bipartisan commission that recommended voter-verifiable paper audit trails for all electronic voting machines to improve election integrity and public confidence. Trump has said paper ballots and expanded auditing procedures could address many of the concerns highlighted in the newly released intelligence. The debate over election security continues as policymakers from both major parties examine ways to strengthen confidence in future elections. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A growing homeless encampment outside New York City's historic Roosevelt Hotel has become the latest flashpoint in the debate over homelessness, economic development, and the future of one of Midtown Manhattan's most recognizable buildings. Located just steps from Grand Central Terminal, the closed hotel has recently become the site of a small encampment, prompting multiple complaints from nearby businesses and residents. Local business leaders say repeated requests for outreach and assistance have produced little visible change, raising concerns about both public safety and the well-being of those living on the streets. The Roosevelt Hotel, built in 1924, has remained closed since the coronavirus pandemic. In 2023, the building was temporarily used as a migrant shelter under an agreement with New York City. Since that arrangement ended, the property has remained vacant while its long-term future remains uncertain. The hotel currently faces numerous building code violations and requires significant renovations. Preservation advocates have renewed calls to restore the historic structure, while business groups argue that reopening the property as a hotel could boost tourism, create jobs, and increase economic activity in Midtown. The situation continues to fuel broader discussions about balancing homelessness services, neighborhood quality of life, historic preservation, and economic revitalization as city leaders consider the next chapter for the Roosevelt Hotel. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Actor Pierce Brosnan and his wife, Keely Shaye Smith, made a rare public appearance together this week during a lunch outing in Beverly Hills, California. The longtime couple was photographed leaving a popular Italian restaurant, smiling and appearing relaxed as they departed. Brosnan was also seen greeting photographers with a peace sign while driving away, with Smith seated beside him. The appearance comes months after the couple drew widespread public support following critical comments posted online about Smith's appearance. Social media users quickly defended the pair, with many praising their enduring marriage and Brosnan's longtime devotion to his wife. Brosnan and Smith began dating in 1994 and married in 2001. They have 2 sons together and have frequently spoken about the importance of love, loyalty, and growing older together. In previous interviews, Brosnan has described their marriage as a spiritual journey, saying that lasting relationships are built on love rather than outward appearances. Smith has also said she has always embraced her natural appearance and has never felt the need to hide who she is. Often regarded as one of Hollywood's longest-lasting marriages, the couple continues to receive praise from fans who admire their commitment to one another after more than 25 years together. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman says he has no immediate plans to leave the Democratic Party, but he warned that a significant change in the party's position on Israel could alter that decision. Speaking at a policy summit in Washington, Fetterman said support for Israel remains a matter of moral principle for him. He stated that if the Democratic Party were ever to officially adopt what he described as an anti-Israel position, he would leave the party. The senator also expressed concern that some recently successful progressive candidates have taken increasingly critical positions on Israel, calling the trend troubling for the party's future. Fetterman emphasized that, although elected as a Democrat, he believes his responsibility is to represent all Pennsylvanians. He reiterated his support for bipartisan cooperation and criticized what he described as excessive political polarization and automatic opposition between the two major parties. The Pennsylvania senator has frequently broken with fellow Democrats on issues including border security, support for law enforcement, voter identification requirements, and government shutdowns. He has also indicated that, if he ever left the Democratic Party, he would more likely serve as an independent rather than join the Republican Party. Fetterman recently partnered with Republican Senator Dave McCormick on a bipartisan political action committee focused on encouraging cooperation across party lines in Pennsylvania. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Federal agents executed a search warrant Thursday at the Queens home of former New York City Sheriff Anthony Miranda as part of an ongoing investigation. According to reports, investigators searched Miranda's residence in the Fresh Meadows neighborhood, with agents seen removing boxes of potential evidence from the property. The investigation reportedly follows an earlier inquiry conducted by New York City's Department of Investigation in 2024 at the sheriff's office headquarters. Authorities are said to be examining the handling of cash seized during enforcement actions involving illegal cannabis shops, as well as the activities of several nonprofit organizations connected to Miranda. Federal officials have not publicly announced any criminal charges, and the full scope of the investigation has not been disclosed. Miranda, who was appointed sheriff by former Mayor Eric Adams, left the position earlier this year following a change in city leadership. A spokesperson for the current New York City administration acknowledged awareness of the federal investigation, saying the city is committed to transparency and accountability and will allow the legal process to proceed. Anthony Miranda has not publicly commented on the investigation. This is Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. The mayor of Arcola, Texas, has been arrested on 5 felony charges following a grand jury indictment involving alleged election and public corruption offenses. Fred Burton, 68, was taken into custody this week in Fort Bend County. Prosecutors allege that during municipal elections held in 2025 and 2026, Burton assisted, encouraged, or failed to prevent individuals who were not legally eligible from casting ballots. Burton won the most recent mayoral election by 22 votes. The indictment also includes 3 additional felony charges related to Burton's previous term in office. Prosecutors allege he improperly used confidential information to influence the awarding of a city contract, submitted a fraudulent cost estimate connected to a city development project, and caused city council members to approve financial documents without fully understanding what they were authorizing. Following his arrest, Burton appeared before a magistrate judge, and bond was set. Under Texas law, an elected official convicted of a felony can be removed from office. However, Burton has only been indicted at this stage and remains in office unless further legal action is taken. As with all criminal cases, he is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. The Fort Bend County District Attorney's Office is prosecuting the case, and no trial date has yet been announced. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Television host and attorney Sunny Hostin is facing public criticism following reports surrounding an incident involving her son on Metro-North Railroad property in New York. According to reports, Hostin's 24-year-old son, Gabriel Hostin, was stopped by police after allegedly jogging on restricted railroad tracks in New Rochelle on June 16. Authorities cited him for trespassing, and he is scheduled to appear in court later this month. Reports also claim that while speaking with officers, Sunny Hostin identified herself as a co-host of The View while questioning why her son had been stopped. Those reports have generated widespread reaction on social media, with some critics accusing her of attempting to use her public profile during the encounter. Hostin has not publicly responded to those specific claims. As Gabriel Hostin's attorney, Sunny Hostin has submitted a request asking prosecutors to dismiss the trespassing charge. In her filing, she states that her son is a recent Harvard University graduate with no prior criminal record and argues that he did not knowingly enter restricted property because warning signs were not clearly visible. Authorities have not suggested the incident involved any criminal intent beyond the alleged trespassing violation, and the case remains pending before the court. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Federal Judge John Steele of Florida has died at the age of 77, just days after issuing a ruling that drew national attention and political criticism. Judge Steele, who was appointed to the federal bench by President Bill Clinton, served in the United States District Court for the Middle District of Florida. Court officials confirmed his death, although the cause has not yet been publicly released. Earlier this month, Steele ordered the supervised release of Michael Guerra Morales, a Cuban national convicted of hijacking a Cuban commuter aircraft in 2003. Guerra Morales served more than 20 years in prison before being taken into Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody in late 2025 for deportation proceedings. In his ruling, Judge Steele cited United States Supreme Court precedent limiting how long immigration authorities may detain individuals when deportation is not reasonably likely in the foreseeable future. He concluded that continued detention beyond 6 months was not legally justified under the circumstances presented to the court. The decision prompted criticism from some lawmakers. Florida Representative Greg Steube introduced articles of impeachment against Judge Steele, arguing that the ruling endangered public safety. Supporters of the decision, however, noted that the judge based his ruling on existing federal law and Supreme Court precedent rather than personal opinion. The immigration case involving Guerra Morales remains ongoing. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Veteran television actor Hal Williams, best known for his roles on the classic sitcom Sanford and Son and 227, has died at the age of 91. Williams passed away at his home in Rancho Mirage, California, according to his representative. Audiences first came to know Williams as Officer Smitty Smith on Sanford and Son, where his easygoing personality and comedic chemistry with the cast made him a fan favorite. He later portrayed Lester Jenkins on 227, playing the devoted husband of Marla Gibbs' character and father to Regina King's character, Brenda. Over a career spanning more than 5 decades, Williams appeared in dozens of popular television series, including The Waltons, Roots, The Next Generations, The Jeffersons, Good Times, Magnum P.I., Moesha, Parks and Recreation, and Matlock. His film credits included The Rookie alongside Clint Eastwood, Guess Who with Bernie Mac and Ashton Kutcher, and Flight, starring Denzel Washington. Born in Columbus, Ohio, Williams began his acting career in regional theater before moving to Hollywood in the late 1960s, where he became one of television's most recognizable and respected character actors. Hal Williams is survived by 2 children, 3 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. He leaves behind a legacy of memorable performances that entertained audiences for generations.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and our audio reports. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.